Welcome to the Allure of the Seas walking tour. Let's start in the Royal Promenade. The Royal Promenade is probably where you'll first get on the Allure of the Seas. Up on the right side here is the Champagne Bar. We didn't spend too much time in there other than finding a place to sit during the day. It's not very crowded. On our left-hand side is the Rising Tide Bar. That is actually a bar that's pretty much an elevator. It goes from the Royal Promenade, which is deck 5, all the way up to Central Park, which is deck 8. On the left side here is the Cafe Promenade. It's basically a Starbucks, but without the Starbucks name. On the right is Sorrento's, and that is the pizza place, which is absolutely free. And on the left is the Bow and Stern, which is the Promenade's pub. The only downside to it is there are hardly any beers on tap. There's probably, I think, 3 beers on tap at any one time. And they do have a lot of beer, but it's all in cans or bottles. If you're new to this channel, my name is Sean. My wife Kat and I have been traveling around the world for the past 15 years, and we recently started uploading our adventures to YouTube. If that sounds exciting to you, please give us a follow. Moving down the promenade, up on the right side is our Latin bar, Boleros. They also have live music at night. And on the left is the On Air Club, which is the karaoke club. So if you like doing karaoke, this is where you can find it on the Allure of the Seas. And finally is the Starbucks. Starbucks on the Allure of the Seas is not free ever. No matter what drink package you have, no matter who you are, you still have to pay for Starbucks. However, the good news is if you have a Starbucks card, that will work. You just cannot use your stars. Moving up to deck 6, the next part of the tour is the Boardwalk. Now, unlike the Royal Promenade, the Boardwalk is open to the environment. So if it rains out, it's raining in the Boardwalk. If it's cold out, it's cold in the Boardwalk. On the right and left here, there are some funhouse mirrors. And we also have these wooden block horses that are the different stages for the horses on the carousel. On the left side is a hot dog stand, which is free to everyone. And on the right side, there is a donut shop. The donut shop is basically open for breakfast and it has free donuts. On the left here is the Candy Beach, which is a candy store. And up on the right-hand side is Sabor, which is one of our favorite specialty dining restaurants. In other words, you do have to pay extra for it. It is Mexican food, and it's fantastic. And then the Sabor Bar, they make an amazing margarita. And on the left is Johnny Rockets. Now, the Sabor Bar actually has Johnny Rocket milkshakes. So if you have a drink package, or if you've been cruising with Royal Caribbean for a while and you have free vouchers for the milkshakes, you can get them at the bar instead of having to go into Johnny Rockets. And straight ahead is the Aqua Theater. It's one of the shows that you can see on the Allure of the Seas. This Aqua Theater show reminds me of a Cirque du Soleil show on the Las Vegas Strip. Very high quality, and it's one of our favorite shows. On both the port and the starboard side, there is a stairwell to get up to the 2 rock climbing walls. And the best part about this is if you have the VIP key program that Royal Caribbean sells, you can climb these things without waiting in a line. All right, let's move up to Central Park. Central Park is basically a park in the middle of a cruise ship. There are growy things everywhere. However, on our cruise, the trees must have caught something because they were all dead and they had to pull the trees out. On the right-hand side here is 151 Central Park. That is probably the fanciest specialty dining restaurant that is on Allure of the Seas. And on the left, that's where the Rising tide bar comes up to that left the Royal Promenade. On the opposite side of the rising tide bar here is where you'll find Chops, which is the steakhouse. Up ahead is the Trellis Bar. It's just a regular old bar that you can sit at. Now the nice thing about it is at night there's always live music here. It's very pretty with all the lights, and you can sit there and have a drink while you're listening to the music. This area right here, you can actually look straight down, all the way down into the Royal Promenade. This is the Park Cafe. This is another free area for that doesn't cost anything extra. They have small foods in there. They also have a coffee shop that if you don't have a drink line, you have to pay for. That's Giovanni's Table, which is the Italian restaurant. Kat and I do enjoy that when we've eaten there in the past. Up ahead is Vintages. Vintages is basically a wine bar, but here's a little hack for when you first get on the ship. When everyone else is milling about standing in the Royal Promenade, come up to Vintages because there will be no one in there, and you can sit in there until your room's available if you have time to kill. All right, up next is Deck 16. Now, Deck 16 does not run the full length of the ship. You actually have to go down to Deck 15 to get between the forward section and the aft section of Deck 16. I'm starting this video here, this walking tour, in the Solarium. The Solarium is an adults-only section of the Allure of the Seas. Now, kids can walk through here, but they can't sit down or hang out or anything like that. And we are now walking towards the stern of the boat. I should say ship, shame on me. And the Solarium is 2 stories. So on the left here where that dome is and where we first started, there is actually a lower level to the Solarium, which you'll see when we get down to Deck 15. And off to the right-hand side here, you can see the pool deck. And the pool deck is basically separated by a courtyard, which is where the Central Park is. But there's pools on both sides of the courtyard area. And the one that is right below us right now is the beach pool. And it's called the beach pool because, as you can see, the lighter blue area is completely filled in with water. So your lounge chairs are actually sitting in the water like you would do on a beach. I'm doing this walking tour in the morning. That's actually a sunrise, not a sunset. And it had rained for most of the night. That's why everything is damp. Up ahead, the walkway that goes from the port side to the starboard side and back and forth, there are 2 bars. There's the Mass Bar, and right below it on Deck 15 is the Sand Bar, because it's on the same side as the beach pool. And on the other side of Deck 16 is the Sky Bar. So they're basically the same, opposite sides of the ship. We're actually walking down the starboard side right now. And down below here, on the other side, there's actually a pool, but here, this is the H2O kids play area, the H2O zone. This is for all the kids to splash around and play in, but there is one unique thing to this area for adults, and I'll show it to you when we get down on Deck 15. Up ahead is where Deck 16 ends, and until you have to go down to 15 to get up to Deck 16 on the other side. And this is the entrance to the Windjammer. The Windjammer is the buffet that's on Allure of the Seas and every other Royal Caribbean ship. Now, I do have to say, the Windjammer, it became a love-hate relationship with us because the food was good, the variety was good other than breakfast. However, there was nowhere near enough seating. So if you came during peak time, trying to find a seat was a nightmare. If you came not during peak time, there was tons of seats open everywhere. But if you wanted to come eat at, say, 6 o'clock for dinner, finding a seat could be a challenge. But as I said, breakfast is pretty much the same every day. Lunch has variety, and dinner has a lot more variety. From what I understand, dinner actually has some of the meals that they serve in the main dining room. So if you're not a main dining room fan, and Kat and I are not main dining room fans, we can get pretty much the same food here in the Windjammer that you can get in the main dining room. The Windjammer is basically a mirror on both sides of the ship. Now we're on deck 16 in the aft section, and this is where you find the flow riders. There's two of them. One you can stand up when you're surfing, flow riding, whatever you want to call it, and the other one is basically a boogie board thing where you lay down on your board. There's also a bar here, which is right there, the wipeout bar, and they have all these lounge chairs just looking off the stern of the boat. It is a really nice place to come just to watch the ocean go by because it isn't really that crowded. Yeah, there's people all over the flow riders, but other than that, the rest of it's pretty open. At least our experiences when we came up here, there was hardly anyone up here, even when people were using the flow riders. And that's pretty much it for deck 16. Moving on down to deck 15, we're going to walk up the port side of the deck, and starting off with the Allure Dunes, this is the mini golf course. Now, I love mini golf, but this was not the greatest mini golf course, and this is why. I'm sure it would be great if there was no wind, but the golf balls they give you are not real golf balls. They're very light, and when the wind blows, it just blows them all over the place. Not only that, the grass is obviously carpeting, and when the wind blows really hard, it inflates the grass like a balloon. So it throws your ball up in the air, and yeah, it's kind of a disaster. We only played like 3 or 4 holes because the wind was blowing so hard, and our ball was just flying all over the place. It wasn't even playable the way it was. I'm sure on a non-windy day when it's sunny out, it would be a lot nicer, but yeah, on this cruise, when we were at sea, it was always windy. Obviously, we didn't do it when we were in port on the sunny days, but when we were at sea, it was always windy and it was blowing the balls all over the place. This is where you find the ping pong tables. I don't recall ever seeing anyone use those tables the whole time we were on the ship. Maybe I just missed when they were using them, but I never saw anyone using those. Up on the right side here is the PADI area. This is where, if you want to learn how to scuba dive, you can actually learn right on the Allure of the Seas. I happen to be an assistant instructor for PADI. It's a great organization, and if you're looking to learn how to scuba dive, you can combine a vacation with your scuba classes. Okay, now that we're down on the pool deck, you can obviously see there are pools here. And this one right here is the sports pool, or the lap pool. This is where I saw people doing laps back and forth. It is your most generic pool, and it is definitely catered towards lap swimmers. Just one of the many hot tubs up in front of us right here. And these are the two, well, one of the bars that are right below the other two that were up on deck 16. This one here is the, ready? Pool bar. So yes, this is the pool bar, and the other side is the sand bar. So the pool bar is on the pool side, and the sand bar is on the beach pool side. And this is the courtyard that I mentioned on deck 16 that looks down into Central Park. Central Park, by the way, is obviously also open to the elements, which creates for some very large crowds on rainy days, because really the only place to go is the Royal Promenade or to the Windjammer, because they're not open to the elements. And this is the main pool. This is basically just like the sports pool, but people just soak in it and mill about. And up ahead is another hot tub. Up on the left here is one of the two main whirlpools. It's much bigger than the hot tubs, and it looks out over the ocean. There's one on both the port and starboard sides of the Allure of the Seas. And we've made it back to the Solarium. We are now on the lower deck of the Solarium, and this is where you will find the Brazilian steakhouse and also a general restaurant that's open for breakfast and lunch. Kat and I would go there quite often just to get coffee and a snack in the morning if we didn't want to go to the Windjammer. Remember, the Solarium is adults only, so there's some hot tubs and some pools and all that back here, as well as a whole bunch of lounge chairs and a couple bars. Okay, now we're on deck 15 on the starboard side, and off to the left is the basketball court, and they also set up for pickleball every day. And the Wipeout Cafe is right up in front of us on the left-hand side. The Wipeout Cafe does soft serve ice cream, nachos, basically light Mexican sort of food. The line is usually not that bad. It is free for all the cruise guests. Right up in front of us here is the current pool, and this is really neat. They actually have, it's a round pool, and the pumps generate like a whirlpool in it. Now, obviously it's not like dangerous, but it's strong enough that if you just float in it, it whips you around the actual, all the way around the outside of the pool. And this is the H2O splash area for the kids. During the day, all these, whatever you want to call them, squirt water and just make a general mess out of the kids that go in it. And here is the other bar that's directly below the bars up above, and this is the sandbar because this is the side of the ship that has the beach pool. And once again, we can look down over Central Park now that we're on the other side. And just like the other side of the ship, there are several hot tubs over here, smaller hot tubs obviously, as well as the beach pool. Now you can see all the loungers are actually in the water. So if that's something you like, you have a place to do that on this ship. We're coming to an end of our walking tour. There are obviously a lot of sections of the ship that we didn't cover. However, I covered all the major neighborhoods and the two main decks that you'll spend most of your time on. Please consider again to give us a thumbs up and a follow if you enjoyed this content. Thank you all and see you soon.